Okay, 33. The graph below models the height of Sam's kite over a period of time. So as time goes on, the height in feet of the kite changes. Here it hits its maximum. Here the height of the kite is going down, okay? So we are kind of just following this graph. It says explain what the zeros of the graph represent in the context of the situation. So the zeros are going to be the x-intercepts. So where the height of the kite is equal to 0. So we would answer the question here by saying the zeros of the graph represent when the kite, well, when its height is equal to 0. So when the kite leaves the ground, right? And then again when the kite hits the ground. Now, why didn't I just write x-intercepts and be done with it? Why didn't I just write that? Because the problem says to explain in the context of the situation. That means you need to talk about the kite, you need to talk about its height, and you need to talk about what it represents in the context of the problem. State the intervals, or the time intervals over which the height of the kite is increasing. So the kite is going to be increasing when, if you were to pretend you were a little man and you were walking on this graph, wherever you are walking uphill, that's where the height of the kite is increasing. So a little man would be walking uphill until he gets to here. And then when he got there, he would be walking downhill for a minute. So I'm going to model that downhill motion with red. Then he's going to get to 1 and he's going to be walking uphill again. He's walking uphill, 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 uphill until he gets to the tippy top or the maximum. And then he would be walking downhill, right? So it looks like the the height of the kite is increasing from 0 to whatever this value is. It looks like this value would be 0.5 because we go from 0 to 0.5 to 1 to 1.5 to 2 to 2.5 to 3. Okay. So we are increasing from 0 to 0.5, and then we're increasing again from 1 to about 2. Okay. So we would write this as a union of two intervals, right? The kite is increasing from the time intervals, or I guess we would say over the time intervals. From doesn't really make sense. Over the time intervals from 0 to 0.5. We're including that 0 because that's where the graph starts. And then at 0.5, the kite is at one of its maximums. So it's neither increasing nor decreasing. It's just at a maximum. And then the other, if we're going to write a union of two intervals, we would write is increasing from 1 to 2. We're not including either because at that minimum here, and then again at that maximum, the kite is neither increasing nor decreasing. If this notation kind of freaks you out a little bit, you can just write from 0 to 0.5, and again from 1 to 2, and writing it down like out in a sentence like that is totally acceptable as well. Okay. Now let's look at the last part. State the maximum height in feet that the kite reaches. So what we're going to do is look at the graph and see where the kite reaches its highest height. It looks like the kite reaches its highest height right here. So we would go over and look on the y-axis and see what that height is. So we're going from 0 to 20 and there's one box in between. So it looks like we're counting by tens. So this height here would be the, let me write rainbow. The maximum kite reaches is 60. And since this is the Regents exam, we always want to write incomplete sentences. That way you get full credit.